Hey folks, Nick here from another BookTube channel, and before I get into my June wrap-up, I have a really fun announcement for you guys. It is my sincere pleasure to announce that I am going to be a co-host for this year's GarbAugust reading event. For those of you who are unaware, GarbAugust was started by Ollie from the channel Criminali to celebrate trashy literature. So for the month of August, I, and you are invited to participate in this as well, will be altering my usual reading habits just a bit to enjoy some more trash. You may be asking yourself, what classifies something as trashy literature? And it's not really a concrete definition, but what it definitely isn't is just a bad book. We've all read a bad book and just thought like, oh, that book is garbage. But that's not really what the spirit of this event is about. Trashy books can be very well written and even respected bestsellers. Trashy books can be tawdry romances, men's adventure books, paperback horrors from the 80s, rip-offs, cash-ins, novelizations, and more. To me, it's almost just like a gut feeling that you just look at a book and you just think to yourself, oh yeah, that's trash. So how does this event work? The way that I'm going to primarily be participating is these weekly prompts discussed and agreed upon by the GarbAugust Allied Group, or GAG for short. I came up with that name and I'm really proud of it. You can find the full list of co-hosts or Gaggers in the description of this video below. Each week will be themed to give you guidance on what kind of trash you can read, but if you're playing along at home, really any trash will do. In the first week, you have the option to read category romance or men's adventure. I'm personally going to be attempting category romance as it seemed a bit more fun to me. And if you don't know what that is, it's like supernatural romance or like historical romance, something like that, intrigue romance. I chose a supernatural book. I'm not going to reveal what it is yet. I'm still working out my actual reading list for the month. But category romance seemed more interesting to me than men's adventure. Week 2 is a choice between Paperbacks from Hell or Vintage Smut. I have a paperback from Hell in mind that I've been really looking for an opportunity to read, and this is now that opportunity, so I'm really excited about that. Week 3 is Novelizations or books by famous people. I've got quite a few novelizations or like books that are adapted from an IP that I'm really excited about. I'm hoping to be able to get to them all, but I've got quite a few there, so we'll see what I can get through. And finally, week 4 is Anything Goes, with an emphasis on anything, where basically just any type of trashy book you want, you could fill it in that week. If you follow my channel closely, then you know that I also do comic book read-alongs on the weekends, and you better believe I've got some trashy comics as well. I've got some really trashy things picked out that I think you're going to really enjoy. Some underground comics that are very hard to find, including one that features Mickey Mouse in some compromising situations. You're just going to have to tune in August for more information on that. I'll also note here that I'll be keeping up with non-trashy content on the channel throughout August as well, including continuing my Swamp Thing read-along every Saturday, as well as regular book reviews and non-trashy content. Alright, so that's it for the GarbAugust information. I do hope that you stick around and participate in that event. I'm really looking forward to it. Let's really quickly go through my June wrap-up and my loose July TBR. This is all going to be kind of loose by necessity. I'm filming this video with over a week left in June, so my reading month isn't actually technically done yet, but I've got a work trip next week, so I'm not going to have time to film. So going to be a little bit weird, but let's just get through it. Okay, so starting with the books that I have read, I read Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. I put up a review of this on the channel. It was part of my back-to-school reading project, where I'm revisiting books that I was supposed to read in high school but didn't. I ended up really enjoying that book a lot more than I expected to. But I had some interesting thoughts about it as a school book and whether or not, even though it's good, should it still be actually taught in schools or not. So I recommend checking out my review for my full thoughts there. But just as a book, I really enjoyed Jane Eyre. Another one that I read, very, very different from Jane Eyre, was a short story collection by Derek Heath called Dark Nights. These were 6 horror stories. I also have a review of this on the channel. I really enjoyed this one. It was a lot of fun. I've been reading Derek Heath's books throughout the year. This is the 3rd one that I've read, and I can really like see him growing as an author. And I'm just really enjoying following that trajectory. So if you want to support an indie author, I highly recommend going to Kindle or Amazon or whatever, looking up some of his books. I really enjoyed them. All right, so some physical books that I read. I read Usher's Passing by Robert McCammon. This is my 4th McCammon book. It was probably the weakest of the group, but it was still really good. I have a full review of this up as well if you're interested in more information. And I'm hoping to continue more McCammon in July, but we're going to see how things shake out. I've got some big books planned for July, like as in like longer books. So we'll see how that goes. I also read The Little Sleep by Paul Tremblay. I don't know if I am going to be reviewing this one, but I enjoyed it quite a bit. This is a revisit. I read this a long time ago. I forgot everything about it, and even while I was reading it, I was like, I don't remember a single moment of this. And I liked it. I really did. Paul Tremblay is a great horror author, but this isn't a horror book. This is like detective noir. Um, uh, Detective noir about a private eye with narcolepsy, which is a really interesting wrinkle, and it makes things kind of unreliable and weird. So if you've only read Tremblay's horror books and you want to give something else a shot, I think this is well worth it. I did enjoy this quite a bit. My current read, which I will be finishing because I'm almost done with it already, is The Eyes of the Dragon by Stephen King. So far, this is pretty just meh. Like it's good, but I mean, when I think of Stephen King, I don't know that I'm going to think of this book first or even in the top like 10 or 15 by the time it's done. We'll see how it wraps up. I'm also hoping to read The Fungus by Harry Adam Knight, I think his name is, this year as well. On my work trip, I'm obviously going to need to be reading on my flight, so I'm pretty confident I'll be able to get through that as well. I might try to sneak in another book on top of that, but you know, again, it's gonna depend on how much reading I can get done on this trip. I'm also just about done with the first Love and Rockets collection, Maggie the Mechanic by Jaime Hernandez. This is my first Love and Rockets experience, and I've been savoring it. I've been going really slow through it because the artwork is so exceptional that I find myself stopping on every page to just look and appreciate at just the excellent compositions. The black and white compositions are so clever and smart and just really well done that I find myself forgetting what the story is and I have to go back and reread it. So I'll be finally done with this. This book single-handedly like killed my comic reading output this month because I would just go to this and I haven't read anything else outside of it. So finally going to be done with that pretty soon. Okay, so July TBR. The only book that I would say is a guarantee that I'm going to read in July is Summer of Night by Dan Simmons. I've been saving this book specifically for the summer. It's stupid, but because summer's in the title and I wanted a nice summer book, so hopefully that scratches that itch. But I've heard this is really great, and I've wanted to read it a while. I finally picked it up. It's finally July. It's the height of summer, so ready to jump into it. Really excited about that one. I'm also most likely, because of how short it is, going to be reading Night of the Mannequins by Stephen Graham Jones. Could probably read it in one day or one sitting. We'll see how riveting it is. But excited about this one. I saw it at Barnes and Noble the other day. It just popped up out of nowhere. They suddenly had like 20 copies of it, so I figured why not grab it. I am also, if things shake out the way that I want them to, I am finally going to start the 3rd book in Malazan Book of the Fallen, Memories of Ice. We're going to see. We're going to see how it goes. I would like to try to finish that book before GarbAugust, because in August I'm not going to have time for a book of that size and that magnitude. So I'm really going to try to squeeze it in July, and then we'll see what else in July. I haven't picked out a specific graphic novel or anything else. I'm just going to kind of play this one a little bit more loose and see what I'm feeling rather than committing to a specific TBR. So that's pretty much it. I went through GarbAugust, went through my TBR, my wrap up. So let me know what you think about any of that. Are you excited for GarbAugust? Is it something that you would like to participate in as well? Do you have any good trashy recommendations for me? Let me know in the comments. Thank you very much for spending some time with me today. But now it's time to get back to reading.